Hello, welcome to the Think Tank. I'm the Butcher of Wall Street, Marcel Kalinovic, along with the Think Tank crew and my friend Pantheon AMC. Today, we're proud to have the opportunity to discuss the future of Hycroft mining with Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Diane Garrett, who has many years experience in the industry, as well as a PhD in engineering and a master's degree in mineral economics. So she knows her stuff. Many of the topics that we'll discuss tonight have been sourced and influenced from retail investors on social media and in our think tank, as well as Hycroft and AMC shareholders communities. Welcome, and thanks for joining us, Dr. Garrett. We appreciate having you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. The pleasure is mine. You know, we're really excited as shareholders of the upcoming Hycroft land exploration. I've noticed that the measured resources are only 2% of the total of 71,000 acres at Hycroft's mine. And it's come to my attention that Hale Gold Mine was mined for approximately 200 years, and you worked with it previously with Romarco Minerals as president and CEO, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, great. While overseeing the mine, it proved to be extremely successful for you, as it was expected to have been completely dried up basically in the 1980s. And since then, you took that to the point where they've recovered over 5 million in additional ounces of gold that have been drilled from this location that continues to produce to this very day. Is it true that your efforts helped propel, the Hale Gold Mine in South Carolina from a market cap of around 20 million to over $1 billion with a B?
Absolutely. So just as a comment, it has been over 5 million ounces. I think they're pushing well in excess of that. So I was CEO of Romarco Minerals when we decided to acquire the Hale Gold Mine. We bought it for $1 million in stock. We were a small company. We didn't have a lot of cash. And everybody said we were crazy because it was low grade and there was nothing else there. And many companies had drilled it. And we put our head down and we did the work, and it became one of not only the biggest discoveries our industry had seen during that decade, but also one of the highest grade mines as well. And so over the course of several years of drilling, actually it was only in about 3 years, we moved from 20 million market cap to 1.3 billion. And here's something important to note. For people who are not familiar with our industry, they tend to think that the only time your stock will go up is when you actually are producing gold and silver. But there is a lot of leverage to the commodity prices in that discovery phase through the drill bit. So keep in mind, when we did that drilling and we moved to a $1.3 billion market cap, we were still 5 years away from production. So, and then we were ultimately acquired because of the success of the mine. So we were very excited about that.
That's incredible.
Success story for us.
I would say success story for any company.
It was
massive.
And we see some similarities with Hycroft too.
Excellent.
Hi, Dan. This is Pantheon. It's really a pleasure to speak with you here today. At that experience that Marcel just mentioned at the Hale Gold Mine, I've seen some conversations you've had about how you reinterpreted the geology of the site, which is really exciting as it relates to what the opportunities we have at the Hycroft site. So could you describe what kind of methods were used in order to more accurately assess deposits and maximize extraction of high quality ore?
Sure. So when you come into a new project, and a lot of projects, have been explored and worked by previous owners. And one of the first things you want to do is come in and say, what is different today than it was the last time it was operating? Not just where gold and silver prices, but how has technology changed? How has our understanding of these deposits changed? And that's one of the things that we did at the Hale Gold Mine in South Carolina. And it's one of the things we're doing here at Hycroft. Reinterpreting the geology meant bringing in somebody who had studied that area and understood those types of rocks and that geology. And I said, I want you to sit back and not think about what everybody else in the past has said this project is, but look at the data, look at the information, look how our industry has changed, and you give us your thoughts on what type of a system you think this is. And so he did completely reinterpret it. It had been drilled for several years, and the company before us didn't come up with anything. And once we started drilling it, we started hitting holes repeatedly. So we're doing something similar at Hycroft, to your point and to your question. Is Hycroft has had a successful history of open pit heap leaching, and we're now transitioning it to the milling operation, which will be the larger scale next phase of the mine. But in the meantime, what we know and looking back through the history is it started out small near surface in the 80s, like a lot of mines do, and they just kept stepping out from the known deposit and expanding it, just based on the boundaries of what they knew was there. But we don't see any evidence that anybody has sat back and said, what is forming and creating a world-class scale asset of this nature? And we know there's high grade in the area because there's a high grade past producing mine that sits within our land position. And so we're, instead of just kind of stepping out from the known resource, we're stepping back and we're studying the entire district and looking at it from a fresh eyes and fresh approach. And that's what we're doing now with our drill program. We see indications of higher grades. Higher grades mean it goes directly to your economics and shareholder value, right? So that's what we're doing is we're taking a new look. We have new technologies now than the last were employed at Hycroft. So different geophysics techniques that help you hone in and vector in on targets based on gravity and resistivity. And so we've just completed a flyover program of all of the geophysics work on the property. So those are tools that we have today that, weren't available, frankly, in the 80s and even in the 90s, and they've been perfected over time. So we're real excited about the opportunity of what we see through the drill bit over the next 12 months.
What I find really exciting about the approach that you've taken, not only at Hycroft, but in your previous experiences, is the outside of the box thinking, as you just mentioned, about reinterpreting the geology of the site and thinking about it in a different way. I know you're a movie fan, so kind of like the movie Moneyball, where they look at different ways to extract value out of statistics and find ways to get value out of players, in fact, that nobody else was looking at. And that's kind of what I see the comparison to your approach, which I find quite exciting.
Thank you for saying that, because when I give my talks to the management team and all of the team actually at site, and I meet with them regularly, I use a lot of the lines from Moneyball. So thank you for bringing up that analogy, because you're absolutely right. Let's not just do it the same way it was done before. Let's step back and really think about this in a different way. And we've been credited in the industry of being considered very entrepreneurial, of looking at things differently and being successful in doing so. We've got a great team.
And one thing we want to clarify is, according to the Inferred and M&I studies, there's some social media influencers that claim it's very difficult to extract some of those precious metals that you have on site. Now, since Hycroft Mining has 40 years of experience in extraction of precious minerals, I just would like you to give your thoughts to the viewers as to the difficulty and the cost of extracting those gold and silver reserves.
Sure. So, and I hear that too from time to time. I'm not sure where exactly that comes from, but I know that, look, it's not a matter of how difficult it is. We know how to extract sulfide ores, and we know how to process them. That technology has been around for 40, 45 years. And so it's proven, it's reliable, it's well understood, it's known. And so it's not a matter of can we, or how difficult it is, or do we have the technical capabilities to process it. That we know how to do. The question for Hycroft is, yes, it is a very, very large system, but it is on the lower end of grade of your average open pit deposits. We're working through our drilling to increase that grade. So it becomes not a matter of difficulty or technology, it becomes a matter of economics. At what gold price do you need to profitably mine the gold and the silver? The beauty of Hycroft is we have a tremendous amount of our infrastructure already built and constructed on site. If you were to replace everything we have on site today, it would cost you, close to, I don't know, $750 million to $1 billion to replace everything we have. What we need to do now is build the mills on the property. And yes, they're expensive, and today's environment is more expensive than it was even a couple of years ago. And, you know, gas prices are up and power costs are up and everything else. Therein also lies the argument that the more grade you can drill out and improve on your property, the better your margins are on those economics. So the technical studies are underway, and we're hoping to have those wrapped up, you know, within the next, you know, 9 months. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes on the timing there. There's a lot that goes into that. But it's not a matter of the technical or the technology to extract the metals. It's just a matter of the economics. And I would draw your attention to other companies too. I'm on the board of Nova Gold Resources. We've got a very large deposit in Alaska. It's not in production yet. The company trades at around $2 billion for 50% of the asset. It is high grade. And then Seabridge is also a very large, and they're low grade, and they traded over $1 billion. So when you look at us, and it's in our PowerPoint presentation on our website, and compare us to other very large undeveloped assets or haven't gone into production yet, you know, they trade at much higher valuations. And that's where we think that Hycroft is going to receive some of that great benefit as well.
You make a great point. As a matter of fact, as regards to the economics and the efficiency of having your own equipments and developing this with all new technology and the things that you've already invested in, it seems like earnings per share have been increasing the last few quarters from negative 0.58 in Q4 of 21. Then last quarter, it increased to negative 0.27, and projected EPS for this quarter are expected to be negative 0.01. We're almost getting into positive territory here already, and you guys haven't even you guys are just getting started, from the sounds of it. And in addition, you know, it sounds like 2021 gold production for Hycroft well exceeded the production guidance of 45,000 ounces, coming in around 58,000 if my numbers here are correct. How is the increased production and potential for increased future extractions affected Hycroft minings and earnings?
Okay, so the production exceeded guidance. The operation was still running as a heap leach operation in 2021. In November of 2021, we did shut that operation down because we're now transitioning it to the larger milling operation.
Nice.
It was getting to the point where it was starting to lose money. Now there still is a lot of gold and silver on the leach pad. So even though we're not mining ore today, we're still recovering gold and silver from the leach pads. So that production is nice, and there's you know, minimal cost associated with it. We're not having to cover the cost of all the mining side as well in that. So we'll keep doing that, you know, probably through the end of the year and maybe even into the first quarter. These leach pads can keep producing for many years after the operation is shut down. So right now we're finishing up the technical studies so that we can, you know, then understand what we need to, the process infrastructure, the mills, how many, what configuration, how many tons a day are we going to be processing, mining, putting through the mill. And then when we build that, then we'll be up and running in a new operation. And the results of the technical studies will have the whole mine plan. How many ounces a year we expect to produce? What are the cash flows? What's the NPV and the internal return on the project? So all of that's to be determined. And we're working on it very actively right now while we're still drilling. And the drilling also can go into making a big difference on those technical studies as well. So we look forward to getting that completed and out to the market.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, as a matter of fact, according to that heap leaching study, I believe there's still a lot of gold and silver, as you stated too. And is it true that Hycroft is the top silver deposit in the United States as far as ability to mine and quality?
Yes, so we've looked at the sizes of other silver deposits, and the size and the scale of Hycroft puts it as the largest in North America as we see it. And
oh, that's it?
So, and that's what the analysis shows, that we're in the top 20 largest deposits in the world. Very seldom do you find
Awesome.
10 billion ounce deposits, and ours is nearly double that. So, and we've got a lot of ground left to explore.
So I know this may be a little preliminary or premature here, but has there been any early indications of potential lithium deposits, you know, on or adjacent to the sites, along with these massive amounts of gold and silver. I'm just curious.
So never say never. We have not found any lithium yet. Lithium doesn't always occur within gold and silver deposits. Metals tend to occur, you get gold and copper together, gold and silver together, silver and zinc together. But it doesn't mean that, there's not lithium somewhere out in that area. In fact, in northern Nevada, there's a very big lithium deposit up there.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe our drilling will show us something other than gold and silver. But
Never know until we do.
So today we haven't seen that, but it would be great because, not only silver, but, lithium, all of that is very important to the EV industry. And of course, there's a big gigafactory in Nevada now that Elon Musk is building. So,
oh yeah, solar, EV, pharmaceuticals, you're absolutely right. Silver is needed for absolutely everything in exponentially increasing amounts.
exactly.
So back in Q1 2022, Hycroft Mining announced a $55.9 million private equity offering with precious metals investor Eric Sprott and AMC Entertainment. Also, the nearly $139 million at-the-market offering provided a lot of opportunity for aggressive exploration and funding of future endeavors, which is really exciting. So could you tell us what are the short-term and long-term goals for Hycroft Mining? And if you want to do it as a comparison, for example, to the Oceana gold mine that you helped achieve a $1 billion market cap, that could be really interesting.
Yes. So look, our focus in the near term is to do some more drilling. I mean, we've got a massive resource already. So does it need to be larger today? Not necessarily, but then of course it's always nice to know, how much bigger can it be? We're not going to sit there and drill the entire property before we start working into production. That's usually not what you do. You start with a good mine plan, and then you get into production, and then you start drilling and finding more as you get into operations. Both Hycroft and Hale was also a very low grade heap leach operation. And then we turned it into a very substantial high grade deposit and 3 underground discoveries. And we do see evidence, our vortex deposit's incredibly deep. And it's very high grade silver. So we're going to be drilling on that and following up on that. So the focus for us in the short term, finish up the technical studies so we can show the market the value of this mine, of this operation, and then also drilling out, for identifying these higher grades, which just is, helps improve the overall economics of the project as well and adds more benefit and more value to the shareholders. Higher grade deposits also mean that you can start on a smaller scale and less capital up front to build it, and then you can build in the design to scale it up. We did the exact same thing at the Hale mine. We were in construction when we were acquired, but we designed everything to generate a lot of cash up front, and then we paid for the expansion of the mine through our own cash flow.
That's why we love the example of the Hale gold mine. It just proves that it's not your first rodeo.
It's not our first rodeo.
I'm taking notes.
So we're also really excited as AMC and Hycroft joint shareholders that AMC Executive VP and CFO Sean Goodman is on the board of directors of Hycroft Mining. Many AMC retail investors have seen the value in Hycroft and have begun to diamond hand the Hycroft Mining stock. What excites you about any future potential partnership or business relationships with AMC Entertainment?
Well, it's just great to have very supportive shareholders, and both AMC and Eric Sprott are. And by the way, Eric Sprott was a big shareholder in Remarco when we ran that one for many, many years, I think almost 10 years. We know each other well. And as Eric says, I don't back projects, I back management teams. And so we've got a good track record, and he and Adam Aaron have connected on many occasions. And it's just great to have their interest aligned with ours. I mean, look, we work for the shareholders. The shareholders own the company. And our job is to make sure that we do everything safe and that we do everything properly and we deliver the best value for the shareholders. And so it's just great to have our interest aligned with each other. And we talk regularly and keep them informed of what we're doing. And, they're just super supportive. It's been a great relationship. And Sean has been an outstanding board member. We're all very excited to have him on the team.
And as a Canadian, I'm really excited when I saw the news of Eric Sprott being tied in, because I'm really clear about his history and his extensive knowledge of precious minerals investing. So that was really exciting for me too. Back to you, Marcel.
Speaking of the COMEX, actually, precious metals are being traded almost entirely on dark pools by banks, averaging like 94 to 98%. And this really prevents proper price discovery. Do you think that the price of precious metals or just equities and precious metals in general is being suppressed or distorted on the COMEX?
Well, I learned long ago never to predict gold and silver prices. My crystal ball's quite a bit cloudy, but look, is there something being suppressed or manipulated in the gold and silver markets? It's not behaving as it typically would in these types of environments. Sometimes it takes a little time for it to behave. It's not altogether different than we saw after the 2008 financial crisis, when gold prices should have taken off and they stayed very flat for about 6 to 9 months, and then it really took off and ran. So we people who are smarter than me, and I talk to them regularly, believe we're in that same type of cycle. Now, is it going to happen in 3 months or 6 months or 12 months? We don't really know, but you cannot keep up with the economic issues today and everything. At some point, there's a tipping point, whether somebody's trying to manipulate it or suppress the prices, or whether the market just hasn't really digested the reality of the economy that we're living in, and then gold tends to do well. So what I would say is, thanks to our supportive investors, we have good cash in the bank. We can weather any storm for a very long time. It is very tough markets right now. All the gold and silver equities are trading at about their 5-year lows. We actually have been one of the best performers of the year, thanks to our good shareholders and all of you great investors supporting us, and we appreciate that. And the thing to think about is, Hycroft is highly leveraged to gold and silver prices. It takes very little movement in gold and silver to really create additional value at the mine, and we'll be putting out some sensitivities on that to show everybody how this mine responds and grows, and how our resource grows and our economics at higher gold and silver prices, so everybody has an idea of what that leverage is. So I think gold and silver are going to do well. I've been in this industry my entire career. I'm very bullish on it, and I think we're going to see some good times. I don't know how soon it's going to come. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but yeah, I think it's going to be good.
Well, I know that previously you guys, previously the company Hycroft was using gold and silver, valuing gold and silver reserves around $1,800 and $23 an ounce, respectively. What do you think could happen to the value or market cap simply if there was a financial instability like the 2008 global financial collapse? Could there be a potential short squeeze in the precious metals market, in your opinion? And is it not a financial advisor, of course?
There could be. We valued our resources at $1,800 gold and 23 silver because we are bound by guidelines on pricing that we can use. So we have to use average prices, looking at trailing gold commodity prices, and looking at future commodity price forecast. So the 1,823 is not something we choose per se, but we work with the engineering firms and the regulators as to what is the norm in the industry, right? What we will show and put out to the market is, what does it look like at $2,000 gold and at $25 silver and at $2,200 gold and $30 silver. So we'll put those sensitivities out, because we have a lot more resources and mineralization in the ore body that we currently report, that as you get higher gold and silver prices, it's more economic to mine the deeper stuff, and it suddenly becomes economic and part of your resources. So it can grow very, very quickly. As far as what our market cap would be, I don't think it's smart for me to speculate on that, because your market cap can be a function of a lot of different things, and as we all know. But what I will say is that yes, when you see gold and silver taking off, it was, I think it's one of the things that also helped propel Remarco. 2009, 2010 were very strong bull markets for gold. We were having great success and delivering a lot of great news, and that combined with the tailwind of the commodity prices certainly launched us into the stratosphere, so to speak. And we're just hopeful that we can repeat something similar here at Hycroft.
You know, as they say, history doesn't always repeat, but it often rhymes. So I'm looking forward to see what happens as well.
Thank you. I like it. Well, it's, you know, at this stage of a company, it's the people that you're investing in. And like I say, I surround myself with people a lot smarter than me who have been building these mines and operating them their entire careers. And it's the people as the assets that you're investing in. And what we're committed to is to making sure that we deliver the best product and have done the best work up front to mitigate any potential risk on startup of the new operation to the shareholders. And I think we're on to something exciting here with our drill program.
That's refreshing, to be honest with you. It's a refreshing change of pace from what many other companies are doing.
Absolutely. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Marcel.
No, go ahead, bud.
It is refreshing. And on my channel, Diane, I like to say, surround yourself with those on the same mission as you, which I think follows exactly what you were just saying. I think that's fantastic. Speaking of those on the same mission as you, as for the relationship of joint NFTs between AMC and Hycroft Mining, the black one that came out and the gold that's expected to come out later in October, would Hycroft Mining have any interest in the world of NFTs or issuing any Hycroft specific NFTs?
Absolutely. So I was blown away when Adam sent me pictures of the NFTs they did. I thought they were absolutely awesome and extremely creative. And so we are looking into that too. We are also have some gold and silver bars and coins that we're looking of doing as a commemorative, you know, with Hycroft and AMC on it and Eric Sprott and the state of Nevada on the back. So we're just looking through the mechanics of how we can put that into an online store, if you will, that could be available for the shareholders. So stay tuned for that news. And I did want to just comment when you said, you know, surround yourself with people who have similar missions. I'd also like to say that we brought a lot of our team from the Hale Mine and Remarco over to Hycroft. People who have had success, you know how you roll, you know what your expectations are, you know how you're aligned, and it's really good to have that same team. So we've got quite a number of those people here at Hycroft, and they're as excited as I am.
That's absolutely excellent. Excellent to hear.
It's amazing.
Now, staying on the topic of NFTs for a second, you just mentioned you saw from Adam sent you the there's the gold and them there hills NFT, and the black version came out in July, and there's a gold version that's coming out in October. And I just have to ask the question of you: what's the significance of the October release date of the gold NFT?
I don't know if there's a significance to that. Was there a specific event that happened on that particular day?
It's a few months out, so I have to get a little cheeky and just ask the question: is there something coming out in October that maybe we could poke at you today on?
Well, you know, as CEO of a public company, I can't. In honesty, I really don't know if there's anything significant. Maybe a new movie's coming out on that date about mining. I don't know. No, sorry. I wish I did have some insight on that for you, but I don't sense of that release date. I
was just having a little fun with you there. Back to you, Marcel.
Any plans for raising further capital with Eric Sprott or AMC, other retail or institutional investors, or offerings possibly?
Not at the moment. We have plenty of cash in the bank to do everything that we need to do.
Right.
And so there's no plans, but you know, you never say never when the moment's right or the opportunity presents itself. We certainly don't want to be raising money at these prices. Eric and AMC also have warrants that, should they decide to exercise those, would put another 56 million into the treasury, because they were priced at the same as the share equity. And, you know, so I'm sure they'll be happy to do that if the company finds that it needs some money as well. But we will always go back to existing shareholders first. If we ever decide to raise money, you know, that's the right and prudent thing to do. But right now we've got plenty of cash to do what we need to do. And if we do decide to raise money, we'd certainly like to do it at much higher prices.
It's highly understandable and sounds like a great move. Do you think it'd be possible for investors or retails to purchase gold or silver, you know, coins or bars directly from Hycroft in, you know, for example, on the store or anything along those lines?
Oh, Absolutely. That's the reason we're looking into setting up an online store.
Yes.
There's other companies that sell gold and silver from their production and in coins and tokens, and they're stamped with the company name. So it's done before in other situations. So what we're just looking at right now is sort of setting up the kind of that third party online store to manage that, because I want my guys focused on drilling.
Yeah, absolutely smart.
But absolutely, we would open it up to anybody for sure.
I'm excited. Sign me up. Sign me up. I want some of those.
Sounds good.
It looks like we're getting close to the end of the time that we had wrapped up for you here, Diane. So I think to wrap up, let's have a fun question. What movie do you plan to watch next at an AMC theater?
I've been traveling so much and out at the mine and attending and speaking at conferences. So I have yet to see Maverick, and I also hear Elvis is awesome. So those are my two that I can't wait to get to the theater and see. And I've got an AMC theater right down the street from me, and I am a huge movie buff. So this AMC investment in Hycroft was a perfect match.
Thank you,
Phenomenal. Dr. Garrett, thank you for having this discussion with myself and the shareholder community. I noticed Hycroft earnings are on August 14th, and a lot of us are anxiously awaiting the earnings report. Is there anything else you'd like to share or press upon us before we end this interview?
No, I just want to thank all of you for your support. It's been great to be part of your community and have you as shareholders and investors of Hycroft. We will work very hard for your investment and look forward to doing great things.
Thank you, Diane. Appreciate that. Again,
Thank
that's
you,
very
Diane.
refreshing.
We take the owners and the shareholders of this company's investment extremely seriously. And I'm an investor alongside you as well. And I bought mine at much, much higher prices. So we're all committed here. We all have skin in the game, and we'll do some good things.
And you're not going to paper hand, apparently. You're going to diamond hand, it sounds like. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, exactly.
All right, great. Thank you again, Diane. You're the best.
Thank you. Great to talk to you.